Oh. I pressed the button too soon. Hey, welcome back. We are going to try to read a couple more chapters today, so we're ready for tomorrow. So we're going to start on chapter 8, but first we got to go over our vocabulary. So, first word, apprentice. I wrote them on a piece of paper today. Apprentice is somebody who learns how to do something by working with somebody else. Cottage, which is basically a small house out, like in the country. Mortal, somebody who is non-magical and who's able to die, can't live forever. Raven is a large black bird, typically kind of related to crows, typically eats carrion. Pretty smart birds too. Sentries are guards. Spooky is creepy. And strategy is a plan of action, which Teddy is not very good at doing. He reminds me of Annie a lot. I think he and Annie are very similar. So, yesterday they figured out who the ghosts were. And what they realized was the ghosts were the people of the castle had been turned invisible and into ghosts because they lost the Diamond of Destiny, which was a part of the sword that Arthur pulled from the stone. So they have to get the Diamond of Destiny back because A, it's important for Arthur's kingdom to have it, and B, the people of the castle won't be turned visible again until they come back with the Diamond of Destiny. So their plan was to go get it from the Raven King, which was a half raven, half man that stole it. And so Teddy was like, well, I'm just going to turn into a raven, fly up there, get it, and fly back. But because he's Teddy, he didn't work the magic perfect, and they all got turned into ravens. So, less than great. Okay, chapter 8. Spree! Spree! Craw, crocky! Teddy croaked. Teddy was speaking Raven now, but Jack understood him perfectly. Teddy had said, sorry, Jack and Annie. Annie stepped forward and fluttered to the perch. Quack! She croaked. That's okay, this is fun. Croak! Jack croaked. Fun? Craw, croaked Annie. Spree! Come on, Jack, let's fly. Annie and Teddy lifted off the ledge and disappeared into the moonlit mist. This can't be real, thought Jack. Not real. He looked down at his feathers and claws. He stretched out his right wing and then his left. He flapped them both. Before he knew what was happening, he lifted clumsily off the floor and landed on the window. Jack saw Annie and Teddy flying around the moonlight. They were zipping about like acrobats, diving and tumbling through the air. Ochni caw, Jack called. Annie, come back. Spree, spree, she called. Fly, fly. Ochni. Annie rose from the dive, and in one easy swoop, she landed beside Jack on the window. This is so much fun, Jack, she croaked. Don't just sit there. Teddy flew. I'm off to the mountain, he croaked. Fly with me. Come on, Jack, Annie said, and she took off after Teddy, swooping through the night air. Oh, man. Fear clutched Jack's small raven heart. I have definitely entered the tunnel of fear, he thought. Merlin's words echoed in his mind. Proceed onward with courage, and you will come out in the light. Jack jumped. Blah, 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 blah. Jack looked out at the night. He closed his eyes and jumped off the ledge. Jack was falling. He opened his eyes and flapped. His wings lifted him up. He steadied himself and hovered in the cold night air, his eyes darting left to right and looked down. He nearly fainted. The castle courtyard was far below. Jack flapped wildly. He glided and flapped and glided and flapped. Flapping and gliding, he climbed higher into the sky. Finally, he caught up with Annie and Teddy. They were circling in the air waiting. Roar! Jack croaked. Onward! The three flew together through the moonlit night, heading for the nest of the Raven King. Except for the swooshing of wings, they made no noise. They soared up the side of the mountain past hemlocks and pines, and flew through the long, misty clouds. As they glided toward the mountain peak, Teddy let out a croak. Raven troops! Jack peered through the night. He couldn't believe his eyes. In the white moonlight, he saw thousands of ravens roosting on the rocky ledge. They kept flying together and soared above the troops higher and higher towards the peak of the mountain. As they reached the top, Teddy let out a squawk. There it is, he croaked, the nest of the Raven King. Chapter 9. A Piece of a Star. Teddy dropped to the ledge. Jack and Annie followed. Hidden in the shadows, they crouched together, their dark feathers touching. They peered out at the moonlit lair of the Raven King. So there's Jack, Annie, and Teddy at the top, and this is where they're trying to go, in here. The king's giant nest was tucked under a rocky overhang. It was made of mud, twigs, and strips of tree bark. 2 raven sentries were guarding it. Okay, Jack croaked. What's the plan? Listen, Teddy answered. In tiny queaks and caws of the raven whispers, he whispered the plan. I'll distract the guards. Annie, watch the entrance. Jack, you go into the nest and get the diamond. Then you both head back to the castle and wait for me. What about the Raven King? Said Jack. I don't think he's here, said Teddy. I don't see any bodyguards, but we should hurry up and get out before he returns. Jack had a lot of questions, but before he could ask, Teddy lifted off the perch and flew to the entrance. "Let's go," Annie cried. Jack was in panic. He fluffed his feathers and whispered, "Wait, you guys!" But it was too late. Teddy was already dive-bombing the Raven sentries. The 2 sentries left their watch and flew at Teddy with short shrieks. They chased him high into the sky. Annie zipped to the entrance of the nest. "Come on, Jack," she croaked. Jack jumped off the ledge and flew to the giant nest. Without thinking, he stepped through the entrance. He jerked his head from side to side, and with Raven's sight, he saw walls packed with dried mud, animal fur, vines, and sticks. The floor was covered in moss. Jack took a few steps forward and stopped. He saw no sign of the Raven King. He cocked his head from side to side, listening. All was quiet. Jack looked around the nest. One part of the nest walls looked different. It was black and shiny. He stepped forward and touched it. It wasn't a wall at all, actually. It was a curtain of feathers. Jack pushed through the feather curtain. Moonlight shone into the space behind it. Heaps of gold and silver coins glittered in the light. Pale pearls, emeralds, and rubies shone and sparkled. Amidst all the treasure was a blue-white crystal no bigger than a marble, but it shone with a light all its own, like a piece of a star. Jack knew at once the stone was the Diamond of Destiny. His raven heart was thumping, and he walked to the diamond and nudged it with his beak. As the diamond tilted, it shot forth beams of brilliant light. "Ja! Annie called to him. "They're coming!" Jack carefully picked up the diamond with his beak. He felt a surge of courage and strength. So, fun fact about ravens, this is true for most corvids, but they like to collect things. So they'll collect shiny things and things that they think are cool, and they bring them back to their nest. So this is actually kind of true. And there's actually been reports of people who, like, when they feed ravens, the ravens will leave them presents as a thank you. So, like I said, most corvids, which is like crows and ravens, like to do this. So mockingbirds, I think, sometimes do the same thing. Annie called another warning, but Jack wasn't afraid. He walked calmly out of the nest and into the night. More sentries had been alerted. They were flying towards the mountaintop, cawing madly. "Quack, quack, quack!" Jack saw Annie perched on the ledge. "Hurry, Jack, hurry!" she croaked. She flew off the mountain. Holding the diamond in his beak, Jack flapped gracefully with his wings and lifted into the air. As he and Annie sailed down from the mountaintop, a chorus of "Croak, croak" split the night. Thousands of roosting ravens rose into the air like a black cloud. Their beating wings rumbled like thunder. The cloud of ravens covered the light of the moon. The night was black. "Spree!" Annie croaked. "Spree! Fly, fly!" She and Jack glided down through the dark sky towards the Duke's castle. The wing beats of the raven army still thundered above the mountaintop, but none of the ravens was chasing them. They don't know what to do without their king, Jack thought. He wondered where their king was, but with the Diamond of Destiny, he felt no fear. The farther Jack and Annie flew from the mountain, the more distant became the sound of the raven soldiers' wings. The Duke's castle came into sight, and Jack could see the light from Teddy's lantern in the nursery. But he didn't want to stop flying just yet, so instead he swooped over the castle keep, over the courtyard, the gatehouses and the bridge, over the cottages and oak forest. Annie flew with him. Finally, they both glided smoothly back to the castle and landed on the window ledge. The Diamond of Destiny was safe. Chapter 10. Where is it? Jack and Annie perched on the ledge and peered into the nursery. Teddy's lantern and twig were on the floor, but there was no sign of Teddy. "Teddy's not here," croaked Annie. "Let's go ahead and put the diamond back." Jack didn't move. He didn't want to give up the diamond yet. It made him feel brave. "Jack," said Annie, "let's put it back, and I'll move the tapestry." Annie flapped to the long tapestry. Fluttering in the air, she took its edge in her beak and tried to pull it, but it was too heavy. "I can't move it," she croaked. "Not as long as I'm a raven. We'll just wait for Teddy and change us back into ourselves." She flapped to the window ledge and landed beside Jack. Jack was relieved. He wanted to hold on to the diamond. The longer he held on to the diamond, the better. "Hey," Annie said, "maybe we can use Teddy's magic hazel twig ourselves. I come up with better rhymes than him anyway. Doesn't hurt to try." Jack shook his head, but Annie didn't notice. She hopped down to the hazel twig under the window. She picked it up in her beak and passed it over Jack's feathered head, body, wings, and claws. Then the twig passed over her own. With the twig in her beak, she made a croaking sound. "Oh, hazel twig from hazel tree, make him Jack and make me." There was a mighty roar and a flash of light and a blast of heat. Then he heard Annie giggle, "Yippee! I made the magic work. Look!" Jack looked down at his arms and legs. "Oh, man," he breathed. Acne and Jaw were gone. Annie and Jack were back. Jack wiggled his fingers and toes. He felt his face, his mouth, his nose, his ears. Excuse me. He loved having his body back. "Daddy's gonna be surprised," said Annie. "He acts like he's the only kid who can do magic." She looked around the nursery. "Hi, we're back," she called to the invisible children. "Hey, guess what? We've got the diamond." "The diamond, where is it?" said Jack. "I dropped it when you were changing us." Suddenly they heard a swoosh and flapping at the window. "Teddy?" cried Annie, and they whirled around. But Teddy wasn't there. Instead, perched on the ledge of the nursery window was a horrifying creature. He was part human, part raven. He had silky feathers for hair, a beak for a nose, sharp claws, and a billowing feathered cape that glistened in the moonlight like shining black armor. "Good evening," said the Raven King. Chapter 11, or else. And that's where we're going to stop for today. Bye, guys. What do you think's going to happen? How are they going to get out of this situation? Leave me a comment down below. See you tomorrow.